Dynamics just mean how loud or quiet a piece of music is. It's an instruction to tell the performer to play loudly, quietly, somewhere in between, or changing between. This seems simple enough, but what effect does this have on the music? What techniques do we need to play dynamics? And how can we interpret dynamic markings to help us give some life to the music that we're playing? First of all, let's just have a look at some typical dynamic markings, the kind that you might come across on most scores. We've already seen a few of these symbols. P stands for piano or piano, and this means to play soft or quiet. F stands for forte, and this means to play loud or strong. And we can use more than one of these symbols to show very soft, or very, very soft, or very loud, or very, very loud. In theory, we could have any number of these symbols, and composers do use lots of them if they really want to show a point. But typically, we'll just have 2 or 3. We can also use an M, which stands for mezzo, and this means to play moderately quiet or moderately loud. There are also terms like crescendo, which means getting louder, and diminuendo, which means getting softer. And these signal a gradual change to the dynamics, and they're often shown by these hairpins. I know these old Italian words might seem a bit confusing or a bit pointless, but we're using them because many of the early Italian composers were the first people to use these ideas within their music, and musicians and composers since them have just decided to use the same words. So we've covered what these symbols mean. Now we can just play loudly or quietly whenever the music tells us? Well, not exactly, because if we're going to make some really good music, we have to think a bit deeper about what these symbols really mean. You see, dynamics are a form of expression. It's expression within music that adds personality and emotion and makes the music come to life. Think about your own favourite song or favourite piece of music, and I'm sure there's some kind of emotion in there, whether it makes you want to dance or cry, and that's what makes the music really attractive. So if we're going to use dynamics in our playing, we need to think a bit more about how we can add our own expression and what techniques do we need to do that. One way I like to think about it is like this. Imagine you're given a concert in a large hall or a large room. How are you supposed to play quietly and still allow the people at the back of the hall to hear what you're playing? It's similar to an actor showing a whisper while still allowing the people at the back of the room to hear what they're saying. The answer is we need to use all forms of expression working together. We can't just simply use one because it will sound empty and it will sound like we've tried to force an idea in there. So I'm going to play a 1 octave A major scale. I'm going to start off forte, which is loud or strong, and towards the end I'm going to try and show pianissimo, which is really quiet. So what I did there is I used a range of expressive techniques to try and show pianissimo rather than just to play quietly, because that wouldn't be much help to the audience and it wouldn't really show what the intention is of the composer. I changed my hand position to try and soften the tone. I gradually slowed down the tempo using what we call a rallentando, which means that as I got to the end, the slower tempo shows that we're kind of coming to the end of a phrase. And I thought about the shape of the phrase as well, so that when the music was quiet at the end, it felt like we were working towards that, rather than just trying to play quietly. All forms of expression work together, so when you're trying to show dynamics in your music, try and show the idea rather than just change the volume of your playing. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out some of my other videos.